everybody. My name is Sarah Snell Cooke. I am your host here, of course, at the Credit Union Connection. I have with me today Melissa Krut. Welcome.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me.
Howdy, howdy. Melissa is the Vice President of Success at a company called Sogolytics. Did I say that right?
You sure did. All of those things were right. So thank you so much.
Wow, awesome. So I'm going to allow you to do a better introduction of yourself as well as a little bit on the company as well.
I mean, VP of Success, it's really hard to go anywhere from there. I'm really excited to have a title like that. And I've been here for over a dozen years, actually,
Wow.
working on my way up to earning that title. So it means wearing a lot of different hats. And especially in the credit union world, that means I get to go to a lot of events. I get to work with a lot of our clients in their implementations of rolling out employee experience or member experience plans like that. My background is in the world of education. And so
Mm,
everything that I do, I like to think about how am I helping? What am I doing? What value am I bringing to people to learn stuff so they can go out and fish themselves and all of those kinds of things. So
right.
big title, ambitious a little bit, but all the success all the time is basically my remit. Um, a little bit high level. I will say at Sogolytics, we also have some pretty high goals. So it's definitely the idea of helping people have better access to the data that they need. So that means research, it means managing employee experience, member experience, all of those sorts of things so we can make better decisions and provide better experiences for everyone. So again,
Basically,
more
any
success all the
data,
time.
just take it all.
Make it better.
Perfect. And so you guys put out this white paper that I was like, my jaw kept dropping. I'm like, what? How?
Hmm.
And I don't pick up on white papers because I know they're a lot of times very commercial and it's what it is. I do them myself. But yeah, this was really compelling, if you will. We were talking
You
about
concerned? What kind of reaction you had? You were like, oh no, or interesting, or
that.
yay.
Well, it's not the paper itself, it's the data that makes me want to cry, scream, laugh. I don't know, like all the things.
Good. Great. Perfect. That's what we were hoping for.
So, yeah, one of the things that you all found is that, and I'm shocked. This one I'm not shocked at. This one was like, uh-huh. Um, Nearly half of Gen Z have never heard of credit unions, don't know what, or have heard of credit unions, but don't know what they do or why they work, how they work. Why? I know the answer. Let's see if you know the answer. Why is this? And
Okay.
whose fault is it?
Whose fault is it this time? I would say that, yeah, looking at that, I think even going beyond that stat, that 49% don't heard of them, don't know how they work. Heard of them? Great. Don't know how they work. Okay. But yeah, of course, the 51 that haven't even heard of them in the first place. I think even those that have heard of them, we saw 17% thinks it's for older people. We don't say old people, older people than me, whatever
Seasoned.
age you happen to be, right? And 17% also said whatever they're doing, it's not modern enough, which
Mhm.
is like, all right. So I don't know what you do. I'm not really very interested, and I don't think it's actually for me. So I think that credit unions have it's not bad awareness, right? Like that's an okay place to start with. It's double
If you don't
digits.
know what it
Hey,
is that
if you don't
awareness?
know what it is, that's a starting point, right? So
Right.
I think it's a translation problem sometimes that like we see over and over again that people, younger people, if we'll call them that one versus older, have this idea that I should have these partners, I should support these businesses, these organizations that have cool values and do amazing things. But there's a huge disconnect between the cool values and amazing things that credit unions do and the actual values that are shared, like all of those cooperative principles. Like, do you not want do you not want cooperation, like people helping people? Do you not want those things? Like, that's what we see over and over again, all these amazing young people led social movements, which is like justice for everyone. It's like, yeah, cool, that's the cooperative
Yeah, you
model.
would
So,
think.
like, agree. So, what is the problem? I don't want to come and say it's marketing, but there's some translation, right? There's some cool stuff is happening, but it's somewhere hidden behind. Sometimes it's outdated technology. Like that's one of the things that we've seen is like you come to a website and it feels clunky, or it feels even when I come to a website and it has a copyright that's not this year, I just feel like, ooh,
Better
and
check
okay,
mine
I'm a
now.
very specific audience, right? But like it's stuff like that where they might have cool programs, but they're not forefront. They're something like behind, we're here for you if you are in this small category, right? And I think that's a big challenge as well, too, is getting that idea that there are, of course, credit unions that have that charter responsibility of like, look, you work in this building, we are literally here for you in this building, right?
Right.
But there are so many more that are having a little bit of an identity problem as well, too. Like we talk about one of the things that we see from a lot of our clients is we used to be this. This was our remit right here, serving all of the firefighters in this region, for example. But now we're this. And also we joined with some other folks. And now, okay, well, what's your new brand? People helping people,
Firefighters.
firefighters, right? Everyone in the room will shout out something else too. So a little bit of an identity problem as well too. And
Yeah.
it's really hard to brand when you have, and it's amazing to have growth as a problem. Growth is a really cool problem to have, but it means that you're trying to diversify a message that used to be really, really simple, like yay firefighters.
Yes.
By the way,
Yes.
yay
Exactly.
firefighters, whoever's doing that, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, and then that's part of what makes Crayons great is they do have those niche um, membership bases. Um, and even within that, though, like firefighters, I imagine most of them are younger because us old people can't do that kind of work or don't
Not
do
safe.
it as
I
much
agree.
anymore.
Probably not as likely.
So you would think, but anyway, so one of the things that grabbed my attention is that in 2023, credit unions captured 10% of new deposit account openings. 10%. That is down from 16% in 2015. And that is scary. That is super scary because that's 66%. I mean, that's a big difference. Um, and in part, of course, is the digital offerings. COVID kind of helped that along a little bit, thank goodness. Not that COVID was good, but
I
um,
agree.
the but the good thing I'm hearing now is that credit unions are kind of leapfrogging the last iteration of technology, I guess, because AI kind of kicked everybody in the bum, and um, and I think we're getting through that educational phase, and I'm hearing credit are even doing better than like community banks at turning on the new technologies or getting ready to add those new technologies. Um, but yeah, one of the things I saw too is that the regional banks generate 30% of sales, I guess, account openings digitally versus credit unions below 10%. So, um, obviously there's a disconnect there between, credit unions are proud of knowing their members, but they don't know how to deliver the services to them maybe anymore. What do you see behind that?
Yeah, I think that's, writ large, I think that is true in some cases. That's the perception anyway. And I think technology that I mentioned, I think that's one of the things that is an opportunity for not equalizing, but like you said, leapfrogging, I think is a great phrase to use there. Because in many cases, people are not searching, okay, people don't always know what is the difference between a regional bank or a community bank or in some cases, or a credit union, right? They're looking for somebody to meet their needs. And increasingly, those are digital needs, right? Oh my gosh, I'm standing next to my friend at a restaurant. I need to just give them money, right? Like we have this person who's like, we have very high standards these days of like what
Mhm.
should be possible. Like I should be able to snap my fingers and I split the check with my friend and it's all magically done digitally. And by the way, there should be no fees.
That's the
So
thing that gets me.
all of these
I
all
want it
of
all
these
for
things.
free.
We have a lot of big dreams or like, oh yeah, I didn't pay my loan this month. Can I just get a pass on that? Like, is that a thing? Like loan
Mhm.
forgiveness. So people are looking for that kind of thing. And sometimes those aren't the like in person, I know the teller who I go in to see every day, where it
Mhm.
has been in the past, right? And so that like that's the kind of stuff actually. It seems like a surface level thing. Like, is it fast tech? Is it cool? Is it easy? But that's how we build trust with people, right?
Mhm.
If I ask you to do something and you say, oh, sure, actually, no problem. And by the way, no fees, whatever magical bonus you
Mhm.
can put on there. Then I start to build a relationship with you, even though I never see you. And so
Mhm.
increasingly, I think that competition is not credit union versus banks of many flavors. It's credit unions versus fintech. And
Mm.
so I go to tons of events and learn from, I don't want to say hack fests, right? But like, oh my gosh, we saw these folks are doing this thing. You can do it too, right? That's not limited to,
Hmm.
some technology is expensive and it requires some investment. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's just identifying what is the real need. And if you have the real need to feel that like we are delivering on our mission, we are people helping people, knowing what people helping people looks like is very different for different groups of people. In some cases,
Hmm.
it is. I know the lady I talked to, she's amazing. I know all about her kids. She knows all about my family. And in some cases, for people who are can't remember the last time they ever went into a branch,
Right.
for
Hmm.
example, that doesn't have to be the same thing. So knowing what the needs are and understanding those from your current members before they potentially leave, right? So I think
Yeah,
that
that
gets into like that acquisition versus retention. People
yeah, that was
really
one of the
focus
things.
on acquisition.
Yeah, sorry. That was one of the things you found in the data too, was that millennials are leaving. I mean, what's scary is there are not a lot of Gen Zs that know about cranes, but also millennials are leaving. They've already had your experience and they're leaving because it's not good enough. So what's that gonna lead Gen Zs to think? You know? um,
It's
Go ahead.
scary. Yeah, let's just say it's scary because we know who's coming in behind them.
Hmm.
Sorry, baby boomers are not coming in behind them. They're going out the door, right? And so that amount of revenue, we see all these studies of like what amount of revenue is coming from baby boomers these days. How soon is that going to be, retiring down the road, as it were, and who's coming from behind? I think some of the bright spots that we did see is though that people who are credit union members are nearly half of them satisfied with their digital experience. So like there is something that
Yes,
to build on there, and knowing that like, however, people who aren't members, 12% of them say it's not modern.
exactly.
So once you're on the inside, you have a sweeter chance of understanding. So when we have those conversations, it's the same thing that we talk about with employee experience. We talk about, yes, an exit survey is a painful conversation, right? For whatever reason, we're splitting up in this situation, but we want to learn from you. What could we have done before you go out the door? I would rather have the stay interview. Like, okay, this person's leaving. That's what it is. What about these people who are still here? And I think the same thing is true for members, being able to engage with them. Like, obviously, that's a lot of what we do before they leave, because
Hmm.
once they're gone and they've made that point, it's like, what could we have done? It's already that conditional past not happening. Not to get too English teacher, but yeah, that's not a thing now. So weeks too late.
Well, and you're skipping all around my interview now. I gotta find another.
I'm so sorry. So sorry. I have a lot of things to say about this topic. Super interesting to me.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure we could go on forever, trust me. Yeah, one of the things that, or many of the things that tie together is when the millennials and the Gen Zs say they want to support brands that support their values, but they don't. I mean, they really, I mean, obviously finances are a factor. My daughter-in-law, I know, said she got a car loan from the credit union, but their app was so bad she wasn't going to use it again. Uh, and that's, first impressions are so important. Um, and only 35% believe that their primary financial institution actually reflects those values. And it looks like a lot of them are going to big banks. I mean, that was like the largest section of consumers above fintechs and neobanks, even is the big banks. And it's like, why? If you have any integrity about your values, you're not going to Wells Fargo. I'm sorry.
Yeah, integrity is a big word to use. I would say I agree, but I think it's that like, what do those values look like? Because values, when you talk to me about my values, like I have a lot to say. It's very core, it's very personal to me and that sort of thing. But on a daily basis, and we've done other studies on this as well too, on a daily basis, how often do consumers perform according to their values? Okay, you've got that diehard section that are like, yes, I drink green, I eat green, I sleep green, whatever the thing is. And there are people who are like, I just, greenwashing isn't so bad. I just put a layer on top. Like, okay, there are all flavors of people who live their values, but on a daily basis, It's convenience. It's what you've said. It's the
Mhm.
impression that's created. And if you want to say values are our core identity in some way, you need to give me a way where I can see that. What are you actually doing that shows why education is a top principle for you? What are you doing? Are you forcing down my throat financial literacy or else? Or are you promoting this in a way that's fun, interactive, supportive of me? I think we see the prevalence of the of the word dashboard, I think is cannot be overstated. Show me a dashboard that demonstrates how this credit union is living the values. I'm giving you my money. What are you doing with it? How are you supporting these? We see a lot of small businesses in general, right, who are very engaged in the community. One of my favorite local coffee shops. They are always doing things and they are always talking about the things that they're doing. And it's not just showing up, it's donating, it's contributing, it's volunteering, it's all of those things. And if there was a way for me to see, how am I going to choose this versus this? The big guys over here doing this thing are not
Mhm.
worried about that kind of a story. They're worried about convenience and scale. I'm obviously just a number. I'm not so rich that anyone is courting me in this area. But I think to be able to tell that story, you have to give visibility to it and
Right.
measures, not just like measures, not mush, I think will be my tagline.
I love that. I love that. Measures not mush. I think we'll title it that.
Okay, that's great. Great episode.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people up in arms that these cranes are branding the pro NFL, NHL, whatever, stadium, rink, whatever.
Yeah.
Why not do the little league baseball team or
Mhm.
like the toddler soccer players, whatever it is? I mean, it's not as at scale, but it's probably a hell of a lot more business friendly pricing as well as actually effective.
Awareness. Having recently attended a soccer game, uh, I call it swarm ball is what I call it.
Mhm.
Yeah, there are a lot of people there. There are a lot of people hanging out, having a good time. And if there had been, some booth, some table, like snacks, drinks, whatever it is that people, that's a super easy win. And
Mhm.
no one on your team who is like, oh, I hate children and sports. Like, gosh, like you're going to be able to find somebody who's going to come out and spend, an hour or two on a Saturday just hanging out and being able to talk to people. And I think
Mhm.
like, yes, we want the convenience on the end, but we don't want to lose that. And I think it's so special. It's very precious, that
Mhm.
idea. And anytime you meet credit union people, you're like, yeah, I see how you got here. I see how you got into this group and you feel very welcome.
Mhm.
So that sense of belonging, we hear it over and over again, above and beyond any DEI related
Call that.
conversations, right? We know DEI related conversations are sort of tricky for some folks, but nobody doesn't want to belong.
Right.
Everyone wants that sense. And though we have sort of this membership is here, if you fit in here, you can be a member. But I think opening up that conversation is you already qualify to be a member. You already live here and you are welcome with us. Like we are,
Mhm.
here, we want to learn from you, grow with you, all of that sort of stuff. So I think that, we can't just sharpen the tech side. We need to also deepen sort of the warmth of the mush.
Right. Right. Instead of a mile wide and an inch deep.
Something like that.
Don't do that, but do the opposite, build those roots. Um, and so, sorry, getting back to the member experience and things like that. Well,
Mhm.
so you mentioned you go to a lot of shows. I just got back from Money 2020 and Venture Tech, and not that long ago, the True Stage uh, FinTech Summit. So I've been to a lot of tech shows lately for credit unions, and the big theme I think across all of them is that your experience is more important than your rates. I mean, obviously you got to be competitive, but
Hmm.
um, credit unions have always been big on the in-person experiences you've mentioned, but really like accepting and adapting that other people see that experience differently is super important as well. So like, how do we adapt? How do we change? How do we get moving on this? Because there's certainly quite a few credit unions that are behind.
I think that shift that you're talking about, that's a lot of the conversations that we have with our clients because they are at various stages of readiness and various stages of awareness of, this has always worked for us. But what the world has changed around you, even though these things, a lot of those core things are still happening. I think that's really important. It's the shift that we see from people who say, I want to do a once a year member survey to actually, let's look at this differently.
Hmm.
Actually, people have like journey mapping is such an important piece because, like I said, you're learning from people at different segments. Yes, they just came in the door. If that first reaction is, wow, that door was really sticky. Like, okay, well, maybe we can fix the door, but obviously things a little bit more metaphorical than that
Right,
usually. Like
right.
there's some sort of step along the way that something happens. Let's find out about it now instead of using just like you go for your annual wellness visit or dental check and they say, how has your year been? And you're like, I have no idea. Been a it's been a year, I guess.
It's existed, yes.
It has happened. And so when you ask people once a year, how has your experience been as a member? People remember like, yeah, either something amazingly good happened, amazingly bad happened, or they have
Hmm.
no idea
Yeah.
because it just happened. And so I
Well,
think bringing awareness in your data to figure out like what are those phases, being able to check in at those different touch points, using different methods of understanding, like learning from reviews, learning from I have an ATM QR code, so people can always say like, by the way, I don't like your new logo. Like, okay, whatever it is, getting people to stand and
okay,
saying that,
Cracker Barrel Credit Union.
I mean, all right, no names here from my end, but yeah, exactly. Like there's people have feedback to give whether you're asking them or not. And the more that you make that part of the like normal conversations instead of like, it has been a year, now I care what you think, please proceed, right? Like that can't be. It has to be a more dynamic conversation. You have to
Mhm.
collect feedback in the app. You have to do all of those things in real time and get the data back. I mean, we
Mhm.
unfortunately work with people sometimes who are like, you know what? We do collect a bunch of data and it goes over here to this magical warehouse. And then at the end of the quarter, those people send the data back to us. Like, it's your data, like free your data, right? So you have that because otherwise you can't be expected to act on it if you don't
Mhm.
have it yourself. So I
Right.
think that evolution of technology is enabling a lot of people to get more into the day-to-day member experience and find out real stuff in real
Right. And I think too, it goes beyond just the data, but the analysis of it too,
time.
and how you can actually use it in business, hence business intelligence.
Amazing.
Amazing, right?
All comes together.
So what do you talk to credit unions about? What do you hear from them when it comes to the actual business intelligence?
I mean, there are a lot of folks who are trying to figure out what their core metrics are. I think, I just had a conversation about this today as well is NPS the greatest thing that could ever happen to the universe? Or are there other things to think about? And I think that that's a really interesting one. I think the automation of, the additional information that we can include in a response, like even you as a member give me one answer, you give me a CSAT, you give me an NPS, whatever it is, you give me some key drivers underneath there, you give me the open-ended. Now we're seeing, yeah, it's okay to ask people open-ended because you can do sentiment analysis, you can do natural language processing
Right.
and stuff like that, where it wasn't possible at scale
Right.
before, right? And so even though we always say your voice counts, like we want to hear from you, we literally cannot read thousands of them, in
Right.
an hour. So we need some help there. So I think that, like I said, as the tools evolve, the opportunities that you have and the more dynamic approaches you can take. I don't need to ask the same person the same questions at different stages in their journey with me. Like I have cool logic or different flows or different automations that I want to have because you said this happened. I'm going to follow up with you. And I think that
Mm.
for the analysis, it's really about like, how are you using that data, like you said, in real time to take action to solve
Mm.
something? And how are you using it in terms of reporting for action planning? Because like little bits of follow up is quick action, but the action planning that's at the strategic level, that's what we want to get to. We want to be able to see more of that because the data silos that are out there now, strewn across the landscape, never connecting with each other. It's like we sometimes say the data junkyard. Right? It used to be that you would print out a report and put it in a binder and in a file and just close it and hope for the best and come back next year with the next page. But it's impossible, right? You have to learn or you're not going to.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes so much sense. And I'm assuming you mean AI is making this possible
I
to
mean, there's a
a
little
level
bit of
a
that.
part of it, at least. Yeah. What else is going on in there?
I think there's a lot of AI. I think one of the things that's exciting about AI is that um, technology has always been a partner, right? Okay, all sci-fi aside, where robots come and take over the world, like let's just set that apart. But in general, we use technology as a tool, right?
Mhm.
And it always has been. I click this and then this happens. But now this interactive mode of learning from my data, I think that's transformative. And that's one of the things we're really excited about in our platform as well, is to be able to say, yep, we collected all this data. I always feel like I should lean in, but like, show me what's happening at branch A, right? Like I'm just speaking into some microphone or something like this, but like I want to know what's going there.
Mhm.
Because people don't know how to. Like, what buttons do I click? Like, we have a really intuitive platform. I'm proud of it. I'm excited about it. But we know that sometimes any clicking or setting filters or segments is too much to ask for people sometimes. They just need to know what they want to know. And they don't have the time to scroll through pages and pages. They want to be able to say, what is this information? How is it better at this branch or is it that branch? What are the drivers that are most likely to impact? Because that's where I need to spend my time because I have limited time and resources. Shocker, so does everyone else, right? That's not
Right.
exclusive. But then what are the next steps for me? So that planning, experience, navigation of what's coming next, that's the biggest, most exciting thing. And that is a lot of that is powered by AI because
Mhm.
it needs to be responsive and receptive in a way that click, click, click or programming, is not as accessible.
Yeah. Yeah. And that helps to make the strategic decisions of where we're going to spend on our technology. If we,
Absolutely.
have a limited budget, which everybody does.
I was going to say, who does?
I've got unlimited technology budget, let me tell
Totally fine.
you. Yeah. So I always allow my guests final thoughts. What would you like to leave our credit union audience with today?
Wow. I would like to say more optimism than we started this conversation with. I think
Yes.
there's a lot of opportunity, right? So it is scary to see. It's a big world of competitors out there, but I think at the core, the credit union movement is very powerful because it's powered by powerful people. And I think sometimes it's a little bit of a marketing problem of branding, getting your identity out there, being able to tell your story and show how you stand up, how you stand out, the visibility of those values as well. And sometimes it's, yeah, a little bit of polish on top of what does
Mhm.
that technology look like? What are we learning from? And overall, listening and learning from your community, I think is the most important thing that you can do because you can look at, I'm very proud of this report. I think it's very cool. But as you said earlier, there are lots of papers out there, there's lots of research. But the most important research that you can do is in your own community and find out what you need to know in order to.
Awesome. I hope so. Thank you.